Magnetic Builder Worlds. This is going to be a Necromunda Patreon build. Yes, it is. What does that mean? Well, first of all, I'd like to point out that we're on a bit of a roll. Had a bit of a kind of like hiatus during October and November. Too damn busy, holidays, work and everything else. December now, very busy. Actually, Whitebeard, Father Christmas, that kind of thing. Ho, ho, ho. Ho, ho, ho. Now I have oh no, that's another thing. Get on to t-shirts later. But, yeah. 2 Necromunda Sump videos down, and up on the channel. Really pleased about those. And now I've got to follow up with a Patreon competition winner. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, I have a Patreon page. Patreon.com/Magnetic Builder Worlds. And over there, if you sign up to Patreon, one of the things you can do is enter a competition that happens irregularly now, 2 or 3 times a year. Well, I'd like to do it at least 3 times a year. Where I post a major competition and basically patrons get to write to me about a suggestion, either on Patreon or on Facebook or wherever. Contact me and give me an idea for a patron build, a piece of scenery I'm going to build for that person. The rules are very simple. It could be for any game system you like. Some people tend to choose ones that I kind of like make a lot of stuff for, like Necromunda or Burrows and Badgers, and other people in the past have made them come up with ideas for things like Silver Bayonet or Fallout and other systems that I don't really play but are good fun to make stuff for. That's been exciting and very cool. The rules are simple. It's got to fit on a 12 by 12 by 12 piece of terrain. It could be anything you like. So, you've seen lots of these builds before. The last one that I did was Wild West build, wasn't it? Yes, it was. It was Saloon for Wild West. But you've seen loads of others. There's a playlist for Patreon models. Check it out. This one is for a guy called Will Dunn, who is one of my patrons, and he basically came up with the idea for an Escher hair salon. Yeah, I know, where they're all looking kind of like 1980s big hair styly, and also the back end of it where they're kind of like making all the dyes and all the funky stuff that goes into that. Gives you a lot of space to play around with. So I'm going to make a 12-inch by 12-inch Necromunda piece of terrain on conveniently a Zone Mortalis baseboard, because that'll fit on really nicely. And I'm aiming to do this with just stuff out of the CAC boxes. Just here. This is going to involve a lot of digging through the CAC as we go. I've got a bit of an idea what I want to do. I think it's going to use Zone Mortalis walls and some of the doorways. Probably a container if I've got one kicking around. If I've got one kicking around, I've got several kicking around. So I might use that for the basis for the shop, and then I'm going to fiddle around and see what we can come up with for all the stuff that goes underneath where they're getting all the goo from and all the different colours. So this is going to be good fun. This is going to be just a full-on kit bash. So without any further ado, let's get over here, down on the workbench. Well, actually, we might as well start off straight away by going digging through the CAC. And for those of you the uninitiated, digging through the CAC is when we get the CAC boxes down from up here and I go rooting around in them. There will be some footage of me sticking around in boxes and having a root and then getting it all out, and then we're just going to talk about it. So this is going to be a whimsical build. Especially the bit underneath. The hairdressing is going to be a bit daft. The 1980s, a bit underneath is where all the goo comes from. That's where the whimsy gets added. If you're playing the whimsy game, that's 3 now. If you're not playing the whimsy game, why not? You know, it's Christmas time. Have a drink. Every time I say whimsy or whimsical, have a drink. That's 5 now, by the way. Oh yeah, and you can get whimsy on a t-shirt. Now that's what I call whimsy. That's 7. Check out the Facebook page or Patreon or wherever else. Get in contact if you want that shirt, or a Dig It Through the CAC shirt, or a ho ho ho. Now I've got a Proxon shirt. Anyway, let's get on with this build. Come on. Oh, there's only one way to get this build underway, and that's to go digging through the CAC. Digging through the CAC. We'll take out 2 bits boxes, bubble wrap, plastic shields. God knows what that is. Bits of shit. What I'm trying to do, I know that in here, Zone Mortalis walls and things. So tops of wall sections. Look at that. There we go. There we go, in there, look. Where all my spare Zone Mortalis stuff is. Walls, corner sections, bits of pipe, I don't know, you name it. So I'm going to pull out a load of stuff out of here. See what we can make up. I don't think I've got any boxes of undone stuff in there. What's that? Oh look, there's a... So I'm hoping I've got enough stuff to do this project that I want to do. There's all kinds of cack in here. Look, bombs, bombs. Bits of tail devilfish. Confrontation baddies from the late 80s. Yeah, I've had him forever. Quite a cool figure that. Old school Delac in here as well. Look, there's... That is one of my Delac figures from 16 years ago. Ed Gein, that is. I had a warband all named after serial killers, of course, obviously. So this is where we're digging. We are digging through the cat. Full on. So I've got power stuff and pipey stuff. Don't know if I've got whole pipes, but anyway. You get the idea. I'm going to root through here and then pile it all up on the desk. Let's see what we get. Alright, so it turns out I've got quite a lot of Zone Mortalis stuff kicking about. I think we're not going to have any problem building a structure out of this. I've also got various ruined bits as well, so I think I'm going to use some of that because that'll look quite cool. Not all Zone Mortalis, but then that's quite nice. Some of that knackered old bunker kind of house type thing, which is kind of cool because somewhere I've got the entire Knuckmund box set, which has got even more scenery in it to do something with. I need to do something with that. But we need one of these Zone Mortalis tile. It's going to be at least 2 stories, this model. And I'm going to have the assistance of Ahsoka today. Quick update, the other dogs are inside, but where are you? Where are you? There goes Ahsoka, over there. Soki. Ahsoka. So part of this process needs to just start to get a feel for this kind of thing. Cool, Zone Mortalis tiles have got all this raised kind of like stuff in relief, which helps stick this kind of stuff on. But ain't much use for this flat stuff, but I quite like the idea of involving some of this on this model, which may well of course need trimming down, but I like the idea of having an actual kind of like ruined building somewhere. We're kind of cool. Well, I mean, I've got, as you can see, I've got this big pile of Zone Mortalis stuff. I think in some ways my best bet will be to work out actually what I've got, and then I can start working out how I'm going to do these things. So let's put the tile and that bit of ruin to one side for a minute and just work out how many sections, long sections and complete corner column sections I've got, and see where we are. Okay, so it turns out I've got quite a lot of columns and walls. Not a complete set necessarily, not far off though. A complete set is 6 columns. I've got at least 8 or 9. One long wall section down here, I've got 2 of those. 4 of these wall sections, I think I've got 3, maybe 4. And then effectively 1 door sprue. Well, I've got 2 door sprues. I've got all of that. I've got walkways, I've got other bits, I've got stuff. Definitely going to be way more than enough to fit on one 12 by 12 Zone Mortalis tile. I've also got, well, that's definitely most of a container. It hasn't got the ends though, which I might have to go searching for. They might have been used elsewhere, but I've got at least one that's on a ridge hauler thing somewhere. Oh, I also came across these ruins as well as those ruins. So I'm wondering whether I might use some of these ruins. I don't know. kind of cool. But anyway, yeah, there's lots to be getting on with. There's a bit of me thinks, right, well, I'll just start sticking some of these together and play around with them, which I am going to have to do. I found one that but I don't want to be too rigid. I don't want to fix myself definitely in place. But yeah, I now need to sit and stare at the floor space of the Zone Mortalis tile to give me an idea how I want to lay this out. I mean, the columns definitely work best when they go in the corners, that kind of thing. I want a first floor, which is where the salon is, and then an under bit out the back, which is where the vivisection takes place, for lack of a better word. Doesn't matter if they're not all the same. Yeah, so I'm going to do a bit of fiddling, and then I'll come back to you and give you an idea. Oh, there's like another top there for that one. See what we can come up with. Type thing. Okay then, so I've got all of this lot to work with, and all of this lot to work with. I reckon I've probably got enough stuff to kit bash there. However, I have made one big decision before we go any further. I was going to use a Zone Mortalis tile because, well, why not? The 12 inches by 12 inches, it's very necromunda. The only problem is the way the Zone Mortalis tiles work. When you build Zone Mortalis stuff, and like I said, I haven't got months of stuff made, but so if you take a Zone Mortalis corner like this, it can fit on other places, but first of all, it only tends to fit. They're made really to go over these 4 corner sections here, right? They could go anywhere else, granted, because you could just stick it on with polystyrene cement. But they're really made to go over these bits, and then other bits are made to kind of fit in between them. And what they're not really made for, this whole thing is not really made for doing stuff on a bit of an angle, and it's certainly not made for using other stuff, other model components. So if I want to use any of the bits I chucked in here, be that kind of like floor pieces, or when I'm rooting around some of the stuff of those big sprues, which I've now lost, but it doesn't sit well, it doesn't go on there very well, so I've decided to not use a Zone Mortalis board. I'm just going to use a piece of, what's that, that's about 6mm hard plywood, which is happens to be a foot square. So I'm going to make it on this because that then gives me options to do stuff at angles, which I think is more interesting. I can make things myself, and I'm not restricted by the floor thing, and then I can just texture the borders as we go. So what I'm going to do now, bearing this in mind, what I need to do first of all is make sense of some of this stuff. So I've got to sit down and actually make up some Zone Mortalis walls and corner sections and that kind of thing, and then I'm going to see where I am. So that's the next bit. I'm not going to bore you with sticking together bog standard GW Necromunda scenery bits, because you've probably all seen it, and if you haven't, what the hell have you been doing? But yeah, so I'm going to go and stick a bunch of these together, and then we're going to talk about what we're actually going to put onto this board. I know that everybody enjoys me kind of like sitting waffling, talking through the thought process, and there's been loads happen. I don't necessarily want to bore everybody with me shoving bits of plastic around about the place. I've rejected a number of different ideas. First of all, we need to know what the design brief was. Let's just find the design brief. Hang on one moment. Okay, so the brief for this model says, he says, looking at his computer screen, my suggestion for the big build, thanks Will by the way, this is your build, my suggestion for the big build is an Escher hair salon. I'm going to give you the short version of this, so I'll give you all of it, / tattoo parlour, with the secret to their colour production being behind closed doors. A building for Escher gangers or adventurous patrons to get their flash, or with expert inkers and a bold hairstylist. Right, blah blah blah. A whole bunch of idea about Nagel women, that kind of thing, which I absolutely love. Hopefully you'll probably get the gist. You could probably have at least walked past one many times. Blah blah. The fun part is in the back, however. So we're after a hairdresser's, right? And so an Escher location, because they've all got funky hair, haven't they, Escher figures? But then it says, so we want a hair salon. And then it says down here, the fun part is in the back, however. How do the Escher obtain their inks and dyes? Distilling turquoise kelp, squeezing sump toads, growing pink toadstools, all Escher secrets. So what we've got is this kind of like, we've got two sides to this kind of build. We've got the forward-facing hair parlour, which I'm going to call a cut above the rest. And then we've got to have their kind of like a processing part where they're kind of like squeezing alien life forms, which is kind of cool. I really like it as an idea. Now, let's go back over here to the workbench. This build has got two sides to it and really got two important features, which is first of all the actual layout of the building and bits and pieces, and then the detailing, right? Now, I've had a number of goes at assembling ideas for this model with different bits. My problem was it kept becoming far too enclosed. It ended up becoming more like a fortress than anything else. So these are some of the bits I got. So I've got towers and bits and pieces, and what I'm doing is I'm trying to do this whilst bearing in mind that I want to do things like light it. I'm also using this wooden board because I can do it all at a bit of an angle. So I'm going with a towery bit. Then a door. Lost the bloody door. Well done me. What's happened to that? Oh, well, there's a door unit anyway. Look, that might not be attached there. I'm having a door there because I like that. That feels that block there. This tower unit then with the walkway on the top. It's going to go on the other side. Corner unit like that. Hoping that's going to do alright like that and they'll still be able to move the door. Then we're going with the hairdressing salon, and the hairdressers is going to be on the ubiquitous container, and as it's going to be cut above the rest, I want the hairdressers to be up high. So this is going to roughly sit kind of here-ish, I think. Although no, it's not. Oh crap! I've already forgotten how it goes. I'm going to have to build this from scratch too. Let's just shove that over there a little. Have an extra bit of wall maybe there, and then have that there-ish like that. Then over the back here I was going to have, this is loads of other stuff that I made up or made bits of thing. My original idea, if I can find it, if I put it in this box, was to use a double wall section. That's not it. I fancied a double wall section, which ain't there. Here it is. One of these. But I was gonna take the back section of it, put it on there, and then I was going to do something fancy like cut this bit out and then do an insert in there and have stuff in it. But and that was going to kind of go on here, and then I was going to have another tower here, and then there was going to be another bit over here, and then there was going to be another bit on top of it, and oh, and then there was going to be doorway here. Alright, big double doors like that. Then it was going to have wall section under there, not this kind of like framework. And then it was going to, and it was becoming Fortress Escher, which in many ways would be really cool. I'd quite like it as a model. The problem with it will be is it becomes too bloody defensible, way too good, and not very playable. And everything you make, I think, for these games, you have to think about playability, right? So instead of having this solid wall section over here, this is a bit of the Necromunda Fortress. I bought this when it came out and I've never done anything with it. I have various bits and pieces. In fact, this one I stuck together almost straight away and it's rock hard. So, but that's dropping in here. Okay, which gives me area space under here to have workbench and stuff. And this is, so this is the hairdressers, the idea is the hairdressers, the salon happens up here. And then down here in this back area is where they're going to be doing all the sorting out of the beasties and making the dyes and this kind of stuff. So I am going to have a corner unit on, and I've got a walkway. I've got a walkway that locks it all together, which is kind of cool. So that does look quite neat. And then over here I'm going to have another corner section, but I've opened it up a little bit with space underneath, although I am thinking of using these bottom barricade sections maybe to barricade up the bottom part of the fort so that they're not entirely, this is still kind of vulnerable but not. Got a bit of lift, but I haven't got the actual lift bit, but I still quite like the idea of having the lift kind of like side on there. Nothing else that gives a ladder up there. I need a way to get up to the hairdressers. So I'm not using this bit now, and I'm not using this bit. I've got a bit from ash waste, which is going to end up being some kind of chimney on here, I think. I've got to start adding pipes and stuff. But so this is going to be my basic kind of layout, and I've got to work out details from there, really. I want a back... Oops. I want some kind of back platform out here. And let's see, I could almost do away with that wall section, have it a bit more open, but I like the fact that the Escher are doing this kind of like squeezing of alien creatures and stuff in, mostly in secret, so I want to kind of keep some of it walled in. And then what I'm aiming to do also is work out how I can light this. I like lighting on Necromunda scenery. So in a box of other stuff I found a battery powered multicoloured string of LEDs. And what I'm going to try and do, I don't know if it's going to be too big, but what I think I'm going to try and do with this is think about lighting the model as we go. Might be too much. I fancy the idea of it going in a battery pack, but in a tower, but I don't think that's going to work. Unless it just stands in there like that, and then I could work, because you know we could have the lights sticking out, and it might just be too much. I might have to go back to a bottle garland. This could be too much. I don't know. But I'm quite liking this kind of layout for the actual model, and I think what I need to do is get some of it stuck down to the base, and that way we know where we are, and I can stop worrying about it then, because this gives us quite a decent kind of size. Interesting bits of different kit, and then I can be able to detail this in here. I'm leaving the lid off, so that'll be peelable. You'll be able to peel that out, whatever, and then that way there, that's I can put details in there. Though maybe I shouldn't have stuck the whole thing together, but it's done now. And then I'm going to leave off. I've got enough room, apart from everything else, to fit my hands in here and do all the fiddly work, which is kind of important. So I think I'm going to stick down at least this back run of walls. See, I've stuck on them. Stick down this back run of walls and get that angle right, and then I can anchor everything else on that. That's me first. That's my best bit. Okay, now one of my problems with some using old bits that have been kicking around for ages is I can't actually do everything I want to do, because things like this bit is so solidly stuck on. What I want to do at the minute, my plan is to not stick down these top sections till I've worked out if anything I'm doing with the lighting. So all I've done so far, not that it's stuck solid, is I've stuck this back wall section over here. This gives you a really solid structure to work from. This Escher hold is pretty hard. This bit is going in here definitely. I don't want to secure that in place until I worked out if I'm doing anything lighting wise. Might just have to suck it up, because that bit there and that bit there, they all really need to go in position. Although if I stick that down in place, I can take this out and have this to put some detail work on it, and then drop it in. when I need to. And in fact, to be quite honest, if that was stuck in place and that was stuck in place, this bit could be removable, completely removable, to give slightly different options. Hey, that's quite cool, because then that would give a bit of egress there. And actually, if I wanted to drop that wall section in instead, that might even... So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to stick glue on the bottom of this. Do I want to use that one? Yeah, I do want to use that one. Stick this one down and hold it in place. Get the spacing exactly right for that wall section. I'm super conscious of the fact that I've got big hands, and sometimes I come up with these cool ideas for details and stuff, and then I can't execute it because my hands are too big to fit in the space. So like, I'm going to space it by dropping in the wall section that I want right there. It's held in place by the walkway sections that go on top of it, and then so this is glued here and this is glued here, but this central bit I'll be able to lift out when the glue is good and dry, although I'm going to have to leave it overnight to make sure the glue goes good and dry. And I might do the same kind of thing here. This is with the hairdressers. I now have got a couple of options here. Might be quite cool actually if... So you've got to be able to get your hands in to move figures around as well. That's the other key thing with these games. It's all very well and good making terrain that is super crowded and super packed. Looks great, but if you can't actually get your hands into play, it's a bit crap. So, because I quite fancied... Stack that in there. This is going to go up here like that. I quite fancied having the hairdressers back here. Then I could have almost like a mezzanine out the front. One of these big boys maybe. I could stick that out the front. That would look quite neat. That would go in there. Gives quite a lot of space out the front of the hairdressers. I suppose I could do that. What I could then do is have a section down here. I could actually put the other end unit in. Well, not open, having it open like that. But again, it doesn't give an enormous amount of room to get your hands inside. Whereas if I stick it over here, it's a bit more of a horseshoey thing. You could get your hands inside. There's not enough room out the front to put the mezzanine on without it sticking out of the side of the thing. I could stick out the back. Might be cool if I don't have to use something like that though. I could use, how about if I use I've got walkways from the Ash Waste stuff, that's nowhere near as thick. I could put that out the back. That'd be cool. I could do that. If I can find enough of it. 1, 2, that bit there, that bit there. I'm going to go give a lot of that. Turn that around there, that could sit in there. That's quite nice. That'd be kind of cool. But I think what I want to do again, if I do that, I can stick that in place. And again, not stick down the hairdresser's bit until I'm ready. That could be pretty neat. This bit I'm definitely leaving off. This bit is going in here. I'm definitely going to leave that loose because I want Will to be able to take that out so he can remove that door if he likes. Depending on the kind of game you're playing, it looks kind of cool with the door in, but with a bulkhead door like that, that's almost impenetrable. So, depending on the scenario, so that is definitely going to be left loose, so it can just sit there like that. But I think I'm also going to stick a barricade bit on the top of that as well. The barricades from the barricade set. Look at that, so they're still digging through the car. There's the roof, I'll lose that. Could have sworn that barricade. That kind of cool. I'll use that bit. Different box required. Have the barricades in it. No. Yeah. Here we go. There's a bit of barricade. That would stick on there quite well, wouldn't it? Be kind of cool. Give them a bit of cover up on top of the walkway. So yeah, so I think settle on where that's going, put that in there. Add the details, keep this handy so I can add details to the hairdressers. Got my wall sections down there, that can even sit heavy under that. Sometimes I over design these things and make them too neat and too tidy, and there's not enough chaotic ramshackle nature of the underhive going on with some of my models, which is the other thing I kind of like could be guilty of, so maybe I need to bear that in mind. Maybe it needs to be a bit more random, ramshackle. Maybe I don't use these. You see what I'm doing here? Playing around with these, I'm thinking about using these down here. But that then maybe makes it way too good. I mean, these are really fucking solid things. Maybe down here, the bottom, I'll just stick in a couple of barricades. Yeah, that'll make it look a bit more ramshackly. Open bit there, barricade bit there, open doorway there. Gonna have playability in all these models. I think there's something that's gonna go on the top of that bit. Maybe, possibly. Yeah, more barricades in there, I think. Again, I might supply barricades. We could just go in those gaps and not actually be stuck down. Is my other potential thing. Right, I think I'm going to stick down this end here, this corner here, and then that gives me again what I'm doing. Come on, Tim, commit to the model, man. Again, I'll try not to stick the lids in, because I want to be able to maybe run lights through them or something. I'm going to stick that there like that. Glue, 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 base, 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 glue, glue, glue. I'm just still really tickled by the idea about having hairdressers. I mean, obviously, you know, when you see the Escher figures, it's got to go somewhere to get their hair done, because they've got funky hairdos. And yeah, it kind of adds to the whimsy, really, so that's kind of neat. And I like the idea of, yeah, bit more ramshackleness when it comes to this whole kind of thing. So there's my kind of like Zone Mortalis Kitbash horseshoe. That makes up the main part of the defensive bit, the main structure of the building. Gonna have the hairdressers here and the experimental shit going on down here. Have got room to make a little staircase up there. Is the other potential thing, I suppose. Alright, I'm just adding this chimney stack to this bit of this top, which is going to go in this one, which is going to sit on the top here. Going to have a chimney stack there. Now, of course, the cool thing about this is so much of workshops sets of models that are compatible. When they're not, what do? Well, you just go for major polystyrene cement attachment, because it will just weld the whole thing together, and it doesn't matter that you haven't got any bits to actually fit it with, because that is going to stick on there real good. I'm going to leave that overnight, sitting there in place. Poly cement, of course, will weld those two bits of plastic together, and I'm going to have a solid chimney that gets stuck in there. It's going to be cool. In fact, I might have a couple of other kind of chimney type arrangements go on there as well, to kind of like highlight the industrial nature of what the Escher are doing here. I need the odd kind of pipe. In fact, I might even put a pipe on the outside if I got one kicking around. Yeah, so okay, so we're coming on. We're making progress. It's looking good. I've got my roof and my container that I'm just going to be able to drop in and out. I'm not going to stick that in because I want that to be removable, so figures can be moved into the hairdressers if necessary. Like that a lot. I've got plenty of room out here, although I am going to definitely have a platform, I think, of some description on the back there. In fact, doing this, I could even move that out a little bit so it's not all neat and lining up everywhere. I could bring that right to the edge, give us even a bit more room in here, because then I can have junk piled up and stuff. Yeah, I quite like that too. Cool. Okay, so yeah, as I was saying, I like the idea of a hairdress. It's actually the kind of thing that puts the whimsy into a game like Necromunda, Daft Hairstyles, and all the other bits and pieces. It's hard to find whimsy in when it's all grim. When it's all kind of like when the whole world, you're playing in a grim world. The whimsy's hard to track down, but it's there if you go looking for it. I mean, Escher hairdos, that's where you're going to find it, isn't it? So, okay, take a drink by the way. Right, so I'm sticking, trying to stick floor sections together. Type malarkey. Big glue before that one is. Because I want it to run across the back of the container. Sweet, that's almost perfect. So actually, if I cut them off, I can go butt up against that, and that's got the hooks to. Don't even need those hooks. Let's have those off as well. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to take these off here, stick that on, and I'm going to chop these bits off the back here, and then these are going to stick. Actually, conveniently, in these bits running across the back of the container. Almost fits perfectly, almost like it's made to measure there. Gives me a platform over seeing the courtyard. That's kind of cool. So right, let's cut those bits off that we don't need. Go from there. Stick this big boy down. Yes. Coming along nicely. Now, for those of you who don't work with plastic an awful lot, remember one of the cool things about polystyrene cement is the best way to make it work is to glue both bits you're gluing. So I've got glue running down here. I don't know if you can see that now because I can. Look, it's all slippery. And I've also glued each one of these sections here, and then give it a moment or two for the glue to start going off, start working. It starts to melt, break down that plastic, and then we're going to stick both of them together, and that'll really help the weld hold it in place. Won't take very long. Looking kind of cool. So I'm getting to the point where I want to do a lot in one night, but actually what I really need to do is let some of the glue go off good and hard. I need to think about what I'm going to put down on the floor, because I now haven't used a Zone Mortalis tile. Just got this wooden surface for putting it on, so I might get some cardboard cereal box, cut up some big slabs that can go on the floor in different places, then a load of sand and a bunch of junk. I'm determined to use more junk on my models. I'm determined to start working through my cat boxes and pile up more stuff and get rid of. There's so many bits that you just don't need to keep them. You know, I mean, this is an ashway sprue, and it's like these bits here. Now they're completely rubbish. I mean, you know, when will be the day when I will need all of these? So I'm not. I'm going to cut them up and start using them as junk piles. I mean, they're cool. There's cool struts and bits and pieces that will look really neat on a pile of junk and various things lying around on the floor. Because that's how I kind of picture the hives. The countless millennia of crumbling crap that is just lying around and needs to be fought over and found and waded through. It's kind of cool. So I can start using more. That way I get through some of the stuff in my cat boxes. My cat boxes are vast. Not compared to some, but they are pretty big, and I could really do with just getting rid of some of it. There's no point hanging on to it forever, so this is the model I'm using it for. That is now the approach I'm going to take. Just use it. Look at it. Don't think, oh, I might be able to hold that for a decent model. This is that model. Yeah, I mean, it's like bits of shop stuff. There's just a random bit of Necromunda shop sprue lying around. I'm going to use that as a cover over one of the canopy over one of the windows, that kind of thing. Why not? Okay, let's try sticking this in. Not helpful now with where I'm actually working, because I'm trying to do it actually on the model itself. But there we are. Make sure it doesn't fall over in the meantime, which might be trickier said than easier said than done. But weld away. What I could actually do with as it goes is, I want to just do that bit of, I could almost do with some sort of, I wonder if I could use some of these. Talking of bits of cack you're never going to use, let's cut off some of these off here. See if I could stick them off these bits and support that. Might make a bit more sense then. Yeah. Cut that off there. Smooth that off there. Take the other one, cut that off and smooth it off. What I've also noticed, which is kind of cool, again, and it's got to be deliberate design, is that this is one of the barricadey panel bits from the walkway set from inside the hive. These are ash wasty bits, but these bits are totally going to clip on there. Look, that clips on there perfectly, totally made to measure. So that is going to end up on here. I might even find another one, because then that way there, that'll make it a little bit safer too. But glue on both of these type thing, I think. See what we can come up with. Not great, because that's not a flat surface, so what I need to do get that off at an angle. That's better. That's then going to stick on there like that. Stick to the bottom bit there. Nice, in fact, if I cut that a bit more flat as well, that'll work even better. Oh look, it's late night, Tim's got knives out. What could possibly go wrong? Well, the two things are going to happen. We're either going to increase the whimsy value, or we're going to stick a knife in and end up at A&E. Let's try and go for whimsy, eh? Just about making these models that little bit more A, structurally sound, B, believable kind of thing. I mean, I know it's grim dark, it doesn't have to be believable, but I kind of like them to be believable, you know. That kind of works. That'll work, I hope. Doesn't even matter if they're not at the same places, the locations, because yeah, fuck it, there's a tiny little bit of plastic stop me doing that. Gotta knacker this now.
There might have been some swearing about to take place. You fucker. Yep. Okay, I'm going to stop right here. I've got kind of like most of the main layout of this piece of scenery sorted out, and I've already got quite a long way into this video. I did think I was going to be able to get all this done in one video, but that's not the case. It would end up being super long, and I wanted to get it done by Christmas, and if I did that, it's still going to get done because I've been a bit busy being out actually doing actual work. My actual work at this time of the year looks like this. Yep, that's me doing the actual thing. And that actually means that this is now Christmas Eve. In the UK, it's 3 on Christmas Eve, and I'm recording this outro, which I'm going to stick on the end of this video and stick it up on YouTube. So I hope you have a really amazing Christmas. I have got a stinking cold now because I've met over 1,500 kids in December, and one of them, or probably many of them, have given me their lurgies, so happy fecking Christmas to me. Woohoo! However, yeah, so we got quite a long way into this build. I am really enjoying this build. In fact, even more so than the sump builds I've done recently, because I'm getting into the nitty-gritty and the fine detail, which is great fun. So thanks to Will for the great idea for this. The second video of this Patreon build is going to be following pretty quickly after this one. Certainly before New Year, I hope, because I've got time now to sit down and get back down into the cack. I mean, I've got quite a lot further. It's over here on the work desk. Quick preview. Here is the actual hair salon. It's looking kind of cool. How this happens, you'll have to watch the next video. There's a lot of digging through the cack to go. Fine detail digging through the cack now, and not just the big stuff. So stay tuned. Make sure you watch the rest of this. Have an awesome Yuletide, Christmas, and however you celebrate, have a really brilliant time. I hope that the plastic gods and the wargaming gods out there bring you all the toys that you want. Thanks for sticking with Magathea Builder Worlds. I'm not going to bore you with all the click and like and subscribe details of the Patreon details. They're in the links below. Thanks very much for watching. Have an awesome Christmas. I'll see you before New Year. This is Magathea Builder Worlds. Cheers. P.S. You still can vote in the War Games Illustrated 2024 awards. If you know any hobby heroes, nominate them.